Good Friday morning. It is February 28th, the last day of meteorological winter. We are wrapping up February and looking forward to spring. You found us here at the weather desk. It's today's top weather headlines, and we've got you covered with some really fun stuff today. We're not only going to look ahead to spring, but we've got some other things that we're going to take a look at as well. Our first topic, though, is the fact that spring starts tomorrow. We've got what you can expect for this coming spring and in the next couple of weeks. We're also going to talk about something a lot of people are very well aware of in springtime, and that is the increasing pollen and the allergy. We'll talk a lot about those allergy counts and how we all can sometimes suffer and when to expect the worst of it, all that kind of stuff coming up. Then we have, and I'm really excited about this, we're going to talk with Ryan Watkins from NASA about some upcoming missions. There is going to be very soon one scheduled this weekend and another one a little bit later in the coming week. 2 landings on the lunar surface. 2 landings on the moon. We're going to talk about what NASA is doing up there, how that supports the greater Artemis program to eventually establish a permanent base on the moon for people to actually come and go and live on the moon up there. A lot of really interesting stuff going on right now as we get close to those lunar landings. And then we're going to talk some more about some big temperature swings in the coming days. So plenty to talk about on this edition of the Weather Desk. But that first topic, you see the flowers there in bloom. So long, winter. Hello, spring. Ah, yes, meteorological spring starts March 1st. Now, you might be wondering, why do we have meteorological spring? We all think about, the astronomical spring, and you take a look and you go, well, that comes with the vernal equinox or the spring equinox. Well, yeah, that is the start of the astronomical spring. But when you take a look at the actual meteorological spring, we do this for a few reasons. And you can see how we basically break it down 4 equal periods here, 3 months each on our calendar. So winter's December, January, February. Spring is March, April, and May. Then you have your fall months, September, October, November, and you see summer there, June, July, August. So winter, spring, summer, fall. We do this for the main reason, really, to compare data from year to year. You think about it, if you've got a moving target and that vernal equinox shifts a little bit from year to year, and it's kind of hard to go back and take a look if you want to compare this spring to last spring or spring of 2010 or whatever. If you're constantly looking at little variations in the dates, it's kind of hard to really make fair comparisons. So it's much easier to keep the dates consistent and compare data year to year. All right, some other things about meteorological spring. We have significant temperature swings that can and do occur. We're talking about big cold snaps amidst a general warming trend. You think about it, we're going from winter to summer, so there is a warming trend throughout the spring season, but we still get hit with those really sharp cold snaps as well. And then we also have more daylight. So with that daylight, a little bit warmer, plants begin to actively bloom and grow and flower, and our pollen levels soar. So we're going to talk about that as we go forward here in just a moment. But I want to talk to you about just an example of some of these cold snaps. We're going to see temperatures today close to average, all the way up to 70 yesterday, and boom, then we get that cold snap Sunday, a really frigid push of air coming in, upper 30s to low 40s here in the mid-Atlantic region. Temperatures back into the mid-40s on Monday, up to 58 on Tuesday, and then climbing back up to 70 as we get into Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can see those temperatures trending back down a little bit, and then we recover. So that's just an example of how things kind of go up, then come back down. As far as the general 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook goes, beyond the next 7 days, we're going to see chances a little bit greater for some wet weather across the southeast. It's going to be drier across Texas and wetter, it looks like, along the west coast. As we take a look at those temperature trends in that same period, there'll be a surge of warmer air in the central U.S. It'll be near average on the east coast and then below average with the wet conditions on the west coast. Now, as far as the full full outlook for spring goes, March, April, and May, we're looking, and this is new data, I've just updated this, very warm across the southern tier of the U.S., and this was pretty consistent with what was out previously. You'll notice it's going to be warm for the East Coast as well. The only cooler readings in the Northwest. Looking at the precipitation, this has changed a little bit. Previously, with the last kind of 90-day outlook, we were looking at slightly drier than normal conditions for Hampton Roads on southward. Now it looks like the mid-Atlantic is going to be near average, still wet in the southern Great Lakes, down through the Ohio and mid-Mississippi Valley, dry in Florida, and drier than normal out to the west. Now, I mentioned we've got springtime here, and with spring comes allergies, and the incoming warmer weather that we are seeing, these up and down temperatures, they could be triggering your allergies. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis has what you need to know.
Warm temperatures the last several days have really started to trigger some spring fever amongst folks here in Hampton Roads. Unfortunately, a symptom of the returning warmth is the start of spring allergies. Our annual allergy onslaught kicks off with the tree pollen ramping up right around now when we start to get bouts of warmer weather tucked in with all the cold. The peak for the tree pollen comes by mid-April. Next up is grass pollen, which quickly ramps up on the heels of tree pollen by late May and lingers through the later part of the summer. Now, mold has the longest tenure, seeing a steady incline beginning in early spring and lasting through late fall. Now, the cherry on top comes with that ragweed that makes itself known throughout our area by midsummer, but is very prevalent from late summer into the fall. Now, heading into this allergy season, here are some things you need to know. Tree, grass, and ragweed pollen thrive during cool nights and warm days. Pollen levels tend to peak in the morning hours, and rain does wash away the pollen. However, pollen counts tend to soar after that rainfall. This is because the raindrops can shatter larger clumps of pollen into smaller airborne particles. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
All right, Tim, thanks for that. A lot of great information there. I wanted to show you the temperatures over the last few days. It's been really warm because I think that warming is kind of starting to open up the pollen a little bit with some of the trees as well. We had a 1/4 inch of precipitation last night. So today, as we take a look at the allergy report, tree pollen is actually medium, actually moderate to almost high. It's going up a little bit. Grass and weed, we're not worried about those pollens yet, and mold is very low. So that's a look at our pollen right now. Now, we talk about spring and the beginning of it, but just because we have the start of spring tomorrow doesn't mean that we're in the clear from winter weather. Again, remember the circus blizzard of 1980? Well, tomorrow marks 45 years since that storm dumped more than a foot of snow across Hampton Roads. Here's a closer look.
Come gather round and hear the tale of the blizzard of 1980.
The blizzard of 1980, also known as the circus blizzard, shut down Hampton Roads. The circus opened its scope in Norfolk right as the storm moved in. Despite the weather, the show went on. As families watched the performances, snow piled on the grounds and forced 2,300 people to stay the night.
We went to the early show and watched it, and then afterwards they told us that they had declared martial law and wouldn't let us leave scope.
Across the street, Chrysler Hall opened up and emergency supplies got brought in. While the circus packed up their stuff to move on to the next town, the National Guard brought in tanks to start clearing the streets. The decision was made to have the circus animals walk the 3 miles to the train, leading to the iconic video and photos of the 22 elephants marching in the snow. Kind of fun to look back on that. Personally, after the snow we had last week, I'm ready for spring. All right, it's been a busy few weeks for NASA, which is now just days away from not 1, but 2 deliveries to the moon. Those deliveries include technology that will help shed light on our nearest neighbor in the galaxy. And to check it out, we're going to talk about this. The Blue Ghost Mission 1 launched on January 15th, and the IM-2 mission launched a couple days ago. There is so much to talk about, and I'm really excited to be joined now live, Dr. Ryan Watkins with NASA, to talk about the upcoming pair of moon landings. Dr. Watkins, thanks for joining us. This has been something. Talk to us about what's going to be going on.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting couple of weeks for NASA and a couple of exciting days ahead. Yeah, so like you mentioned, we've had 2 launches back in January and then just a few days ago with our commercial partners that are sending NASA science and technology demonstrations to the lunar surface, landing first one March 2nd and the second one around March 6th or so. Yeah, and it's pretty rare that we have 2 missions on the way to the moon at the same time, let alone 2 landings within the same week. So we're really excited.
It's pretty wild. You guys are sending these to different parts of the moon, completely different areas. What information does NASA hope to gain? I guess you've got one going into an old volcanic area or a mountainous area and another one on a plateau at the South Pole. What do you hope to get from like the exploration and the instruments going to these different areas?
Yeah, like you said, we're going to 2 pretty different areas on the moon. So just like on Earth, the lunar surface is not the same everywhere. We have multiple different terrains. We have ancient volcanic areas, which we're going to be exploring with Blue Ghost Mission 1. And then we also have more mountainous areas. We have the polar regions that are different. So with Blue Ghost Mission 1, we have a few science objectives. We're hoping to learn more about the interior structure of the moon. We're going to be doing heat flow measurements and things like that. As well as understanding how the Earth's magnetosphere interacts with the solar wind. So actually learning a little bit more about our own planet from the surface of the moon. With the Intuitive Machines mission, we're going to be looking at volatiles specifically. So these are gases that evaporate easily. Think about things like water and oxygen. So they're going to be sending a drill and a mass spectrometer to try to measure the volatile content so we know how much water is there, so that when we do send humans to the polar regions, we know what kind of resources we have to work with.
It's incredible. You know, I was taking a look at the extremities and what the actual conditions are like on the surface of the moon. You've got some areas that are incredibly hot by Earth standards because it doesn't have the atmosphere that we have to kind of disperse the sun's heating. Other areas cold. All of this will help to, as part of the Artemis program, you're looking to establish that long-term viability on the moon as a potential launching point for further space exploration. I mean, how exciting a time is this for NASA with everything that's going on?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Again, we've had multiple missions launched this year. Again, like I said, we've got 2 about to land on the moon. So we're really excited to get this data, work towards the Artemis missions coming up here in the next few years, and a sustained human presence on the moon, and then working towards Mars here in the near future as well.
You know, I was interested just reading a little bit about these 2 landings upcoming. The one launched a few weeks ago, the other one more recently. And it's always amazing to me how the difference in times and things on the missions. Are there more direct paths or some that need to go out farther to hit different locations? I'd be interested to know, as a science guy, you know, talk to us a little bit about that. How hard is it to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult. You know, like Firefly launched in January, and they're landing here in a couple of days. So they're taking what I like to call the scenic route. So they're taking a longer transit to get to the lunar surface. And, you know, there's lots of things that come into play with, you know, the transit times, you know, orbital dynamics being the major factor. Sometimes it has to do with their fuel and their trajectories. But yeah, I mean, getting to the moon and landing on the moon, it's difficult. You know, there's a lot of different things that come into play. You've got your time of day that you're landing, the location you're landing at. There may be certain times of year when you can only go to certain areas, such as the polar regions. You know, obviously your spacecraft has lots of things it has to do to get ready to land on the moon, and there are lots of things that can go wrong in that time. But landing on the moon, there's no atmosphere. You know, you've got to slow yourself down naturally with propulsive methods. So yeah, it's difficult. As you can see, we haven't done it a lot recently, but we have a lot of confidence in our commercial partners, and we're really looking forward to successful landings coming up in the next week.
All right, I'm going to show my age a little bit because I was a child back in the 70s, and we were fascinated still with some of the Apollo missions and just, you know, all the excitement. Everybody wanted to be an astronaut when they grew up. So I've been following this forever and just thinking this is so cool. As far as technology goes to help cover some of this, is there plans for people to be able to see more of this lunar land, or these lunar landings, or do you think we're going to get to a point where we're going to be able to see better video coverage of these types of things as we move forward? And how can people check out these landings?
Yeah, so if you want to watch these landings live, we'll be streaming it on our NASA channels. You can go to nasa.gov/live. It'll also be on our YouTube channels. And I'm sure our partners will probably also be streaming through their media as well. So yeah, we'll have a lot of live coverage, and we plan to do that for not only these 2 deliveries, but also for the ones coming up in the next couple of years. So yeah, you can definitely have different ways to watch it if you're interested.
How optimistic are you about, the establishment of like this lunar base and how we can eventually get to Mars? I mean, this is such an amazing undertaking, and people are like, we see all these sci-fi movies. Oh, it seems like you should be able to do it like that. There's so much that goes into this, and you've been dedicating so much of your life to this work. How optimistic are you? This is something that's actually happening now.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 deliveries coming up in the next few weeks, these towards that sustained future, human exploration. It's really exciting to be part of that. We're starting off sending technology demonstrations so we understand what we need to refine as we work towards more longer duration human space flight. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to see these commercial partnerships. This is enabling us to more rapidly and reliably and affordably get to the lunar surface. So yeah, I think we've got a lot of exciting things coming up working towards this future of sustained human exploration on the lunar surface.
Thank you so much for your time, and good luck. We're all going to be waiting with great anticipation. Hopefully those landings go along very smoothly. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Watkins. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, it has been a very, very busy time for NASA. And, we talk about these upcoming landings, but, NASA's also getting ready to launch 2 separate missions on the same rocket. Now, you think of this as a rideshare when you put 2 payloads into the one rocket. They're going to launch into space. The first mission, Sphere-X, is a space telescope that will create a 3D map of the entire sky in more than 100 colors. So this thing's going to be brilliant, and it's going to give us a lot of information. The second mission, Punch, includes 4 small satellites that will study the sun and how solar winds form. So we're going to be looking at this, and earlier this week I had a chance to speak with Jennifer Rocca, an engineer on Sphere-X. She says these projects are going to help scientists better understand the universe.
Sphere-X is an all-sky survey, and so what we're going to do is orbit Earth in low Earth orbit, and instead of looking down at Earth, look out at space. And we're taking a 3-dimensional map of the entire celestial sphere. That's all of the sky outside of Earth. We are finally at this time in astronomy where we have instrumentation that can actually observe the light from the early universe. And what's really special about Sphere-X is because we're doing that all-sky survey, we're really capturing all of the light in the universe. And because we're doing it in these multiple channels, we can actually go back in time and recreate what the structure of that light was just after the Big Bang. And the idea of that is that scientists can try to understand the physics of the inflation of the universe that brought us to the universe that we see today, and also make some predictions about where it's going in the future.
So cool to see all of this stuff going on, and we're really, really excited about it. Again, that launch was supposed to happen today, but NASA pushed it back until at least Sunday just to give them a little more time to prepare. The mission will take 2 years. So we're excited about that. And again, that is going to launch from California. You can find my full interview with Jennifer Rocca on the 13 News Now Plus. So that's a great way to look. And as we take a look out across California, a little bit of cloud cover there, a little bit of wet weather offshore. But again, they're just going to take a couple of days. Hopefully they'll be able to get that launch off and get those 2 missions going. Cannot wait to see what we find out there. What I also wanted to draw your attention to while we're on this wider view of the West is this push of cooler air, because this is going to have some impact on us as well, including what's happening this weekend. This cool down coming Sunday morning. I am talking about specifically on Sunday, the One City Marathon in Newport News. Now, there's going to be different activities going on Saturday as well. There'll be a 5K, some shorter events. That's a lot of fun. Runners can start picking up their packets today, and there are those shorter races I mentioned on Saturday, but the half marathon and the full marathon are on for Sunday, and I wanted to talk to you about the forecast for the marathon. So let's come back out here and I will show you this graphic I've put together, because that colder air is coming to our region, including Newport News. You can see, again, temperatures on Sunday morning At 7 a.m., when the races begin, 30 degrees. It's going to feel like it's closer to 20. By 11 o'clock, the temperature is going to be around 38 degrees. So a chilly morning for the run. And really, you know, when you think about how hard these runners are going, over 13.1 if they're doing a half mile or 26.2 miles for the full marathon, that colder air is really not that bad. There will be a little bit of wind out there to contend with. Winds are going to be north and northwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's not going to be terrible. I do think it'll be breezier along the coast and at the Outer Banks. But looking at Newport News, where the race is going to be centered, I think the winds are going to be more like 14, maybe 15 miles per hour. So a little bit of a wind there making those wind chills. But all in all, it's not bad. It doesn't look like any chance of rain. Lots of sunshine coming up for Sunday. Right now, we're also looking at a lot of sunshine across the area. Here are the weather headlines for Hampton Roads. You can see, again, seasonable and sunny weather for today. Really nice stuff. We're talking highs around 57 degrees. And while that's a lot colder than yesterday's high of 79, again, 57 is where we should be. That high yesterday was just 3 degrees from the record high of 82. Now, we have much warmer weather set for tomorrow, back up to 70. So folks going out for maybe that 5K at the One City race weekend up in Newport News, it will be warmer tomorrow morning. But that sharp cool down is coming Sunday. I showed you that air up in Canada diving to the south and to the southeast, and that's what's going to come in here. As we take a look at the Thompson Creek Window Company sky view over Virginia Beach, looking at 264 Independence Boulevard, just about full sunshine. We do have some haze out there, a little bit of thin cloud cover off in the distance. At the airport, it's been mostly sunny and is sunny right now, 51 and west winds at 9 miles per hour. On the water today, the Chesapeake Bay still with a small craft advisory, and it's not going to last that much longer, about another half hour or so. Winds are expected to die down to about 10 knots. We've seen some gusts to 25 knots out on the ocean waters, and the sea's running 2 to 3 feet. High tide at 9:10, low tide at 3:24. Let's take a look at the forecast. Now, you can see how the skies have cleared, and now we're going to see the winds coming in from the west and the northwest. But later today, the winds are going to come around. So highs today, mid-50s to upper 50s across most of the region. As we head into the evening, if you've got plans to get out this evening, you're in great shape. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s to low 50s. And then as we go through the overnight, temps drop down through the 40s. But you see this south wind. This is what sets up the warmer weather for tomorrow. So we will see the surge of warmer air and clouds, maybe a little more of that through the afternoon. It's going to be mostly sunny early on Saturday, becoming partly sunny in the afternoon. Again, upper 60s to near 70, and just a low risk of a stray shower tomorrow evening. So you saw a little bit of that kind of popping up early evening, but again, not a big deal, should be very light and mainly down into northeast North Carolina. I'm going to say chances for Hampton Roads, Norfolk seeing it, Virginia Beach, probably around 15%, 10 to 15%. That's it. As we go through the evening Saturday, again, a stray shower possible farther to the south, chances down there around 20%. As we look forward to Sunday, the colder air comes in, so get ready for that. Highs today, again, mid-50s around Virginia Beach. We'll call Norfolk 57, along with Chesapeake and Smithfield, 59 out around Wakefield and Franklin. Looking to the north, temperatures also in the mid to upper 50s from Hampton to Newport News and Williamsburg. Gloucester at 55, sunshine for the eastern shore. Temperatures there in the low 50s. At the Outer Banks, low to mid 50s, decent amount of sunshine and beautiful across northeast North Carolina, 60 in Edenton, 57 in Elizabeth City. All right, tonight, the low down around 46, clear skies, lows 5 to 10 degrees above average. And then tomorrow, we'll see temperatures around 70. Again, meteorological spring, we've talked a lot about it. It goes tomorrow. Our allergy forecast will become a daily part of our morning broadcast as well. So be sure and tune in 7 days a week through the allergy season. We'll be sharing that information and we'll get through it. We will. All right, as we take a look ahead, and I'm looking forward to this springtime, we're going to see temperatures feeling more winter-like Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, a little bit warmer, up to 58, and then 70 cloudy on Wednesday. Storms possible late Wednesday. I think early on, some showers, maybe a few storms with that high near 70, and then a few lingering showers on Thursday. Beyond that, temperatures come back down, upper 50s on Friday, and then mid to upper Fridays as we get into Saturday of next week, and maybe a few more showers on Saturday as well. So plenty to watch over the coming 7 days. All right, I hope you've enjoyed today's edition of the Weather Desk. You can find me on Facebook if you'd like to connect on social media, Craig Moeller TV on Instagram, and on X, search 13 Craig Moeller. You'll find me there. Remember, you can always get all of our forecast information and get updates, special presentations right here on the 13 News Now Plus app, accessible anywhere in the world at any time, all the news. And again, the best way to stay connected to our weather and our weather forecast with the 13 News Now mobile app. You can download that app right there by scanning the QR code, a great resource with the radars and all of our weather updates. We like to stay in touch with you and keep that information flowing to you so you can consume it as you need it. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. Again, spring starts tomorrow, and we will see more ups and downs coming over the upcoming days and weeks. But you know what? We're trending a little warmer. Days are getting a little bit longer. So if you're ready for the warmer weather, hang in there. That's going to do it for me. Have a great weekend.